brick masons are getting started today, putting the brick on the house, so that's good news. We'll talk about flashing details for a minute here. I'm getting prepped for the brick guys. They're working their way around the house now. They started yesterday. We're supposed to have some thunderstorms and stuff today, so they're gonna kind of take today off from doing brick. But you can see our, I don't know if you can see that there. See siding brick, that's sort of the line. I hate that the plumber didn't put that in the same spot. That annoys me. It's not even. People that don't care. You will find when you're building a house or you're doing any construction project, some of the subs just don't care. They don't care about how things look in the finished product. They are paid to come in and do a job and leave. And that's why that particular sub will always be that subcontractor that doesn't make a lot of money and just is a laborer. And that's the difference, is your attention to detail and what you care about and paying attention to details. So as the builder here on my job, and this is my house, I'm paying attention to details that are going to matter in the future. And one of those is waterproofing details and flashing details. So once the brick guys come, they're going to brick up to that chalk line. And then I'll show you on the other side of the house, but we're actually putting a drip cap that you would put over the top of a door. And we'll be zip taping that to the zip sheathing. And that will direct any water that comes in, that may come in behind the siding or over the siding, and direct it out onto the brick and out and away from the house. You want to manage waterproofing details. One thing I did early on too, after we sheathed, is this entire joint is sealed off with Lexel, which I love this Lexel sealant. It's awesome, way better than silicone. It's a superior sealant. It is expensive. The only thing I don't like about it is it skins over really fast. So you should only be working, if you're gonna tool it with your finger, you should only be working in maybe like 2-foot sections before you go to tool it, because it's gonna skin over that fast. So don't let it sit for a while before you try to tool it over with your finger. So this is all completely sealed. That's for A, for waterproofing, and B, for air sealing. And then when they come in and brick all this, that little thing there will all get covered up and you'll never see that detail there. It'll all just tie right in. We've got all the windows taped here. And then I put, even though this isn't really necessary because I have an overhang over this door, as I put a head flashing, a cap flashing, drip cap over the top of this door. And then we folded it over on the corners. And then I ran a bead of Lexel all the way down the side to seal this off. Another thing I did is the ends of these are primed. This is a, and I don't know why they did this, but this is one of those like never rot sills where the bottom of it is actually a composite PVC. You can kind of see the seam right there. You see that seam? So the bottom is PVC, so that, because typically these ends will wick up moisture and this will rot out because it gets splash up from the water. That's another reason why I put an overhang over this door, so that it'll direct any water out and away, so you minimize the splash that occurs on there. So the ends of these are primed, and then as I was running my finger down here, I took all my excess Lexel and I just rubbed it in the bottom of this end grain to seal up the end grain on the bottom of these, because this is the first place that's notorious to rot. Now this door company didn't put the rot proof stuff on the end, or on the ends of the brick mold, so I don't understand that logic. Another thing I did is when I did these bucks for the garage door, because you have to buck these out a little bit, we ran a bead of Lexel down there, so that's completely sealed. That's both a water seal and an air seal. I've got a drip cap across the top. Again, that drip cap is not even necessary at all. That area, the only time it's ever going to see any water is if I were like pressure washing the house. Okay. Another thing I did, I primed the end grain of these bucks with primer before I put them up, because this is going to wick up moisture here. So I put like 3 or 4 coats of primer. I just bought some rattle can primer and primed the end grain to these. And then when my painter comes to paint, I'll make sure that he actually rubs some paint or put some paint on the bottom of that so that it won't wick up moisture. So this is that detail, and then again we'll run that drip cap over the brick, and then it will continue, and the brick will stop right at the top edge of the deck over there. So that drip cap will stop right at the deck, and then we're going to have a what's called a water table trim board that runs all the way across around the house. Another detail we're doing is we're going to brick some columns on the deck here. Originally I wasn't going to do that, and then honestly the labor rate that I'm paying the brick guys is really not that bad. So like they'll brick these columns for, it would work out to a few $100s to have them brick these columns. So I'm just going to have them brick the columns up, and then we will create a flashing detail at the top. Once we'll leave some weep holes at the bottom, so if any water does get down in the bottom of this, it can drain out. And then obviously our posts are sitting on a Simpson post base, so they're up, the end grain of the post is up and out of the water. So if any water does get back here, it'll just drain out and away. You want to leave water away to get out. Another reason why we didn't tape the bottom seam of the window, we created a sill pan, and any water that gets in that window can get out through the bottom. So yeah, this is all going to get bricked. We'll do a flashing detail at the top when we go to finally finish out the deck, when we trim it out. My siding and cornice guy is going to get started on siding and cornice here in about 2.5, 3 weeks, something like that. He's got 2 other jobs to finish up, and then he'll be here to do this job. So I did the same on these doors here. So we did a Lexel sealant, we sealed up the end grain, we've got a drip cap, all that. So you got your waterproofing details all the way around. And again, we'll do a drip cap all the way around over the brick so that you can seal that up. Same situation with that door. I still haven't done the side door yet. I need to do the side door here. I'll get to that in a little bit. And then also on the garage doors, we did the same thing. Drip cap on top, Lexel, sealant down the side. And then some of these areas, we had actually a pretty big gap between the buck for the garage door and where the sheathing was, the rough opening. So I actually taped it, and I wrapped the zip tape up onto the frame and taped it to the frame. And then you can see the drip cap detail there that I've already done where they've done this brick. So this drip cap goes there, and it will actually continue around. I've got to work on this section here, but this will continue around the house all the way around. And that is taped and rolled. We rolled the tape to the house, sealed up, so any water can just go whoop, out and over. You want the water to get out. And then also what the brick guys did is right here, see these weep holes, right where the wood sheathing started, they actually ran a waterproofing membrane and stapled it and zip taped it to the sheathing, and then ran it out onto this brick, this first course of brick here, and then they put the little weep tubes in here. So if any water does get in behind there, it'll fall and collect on that waterproofing detail, and it'll actually run out and drain out these holes. So it won't get down in behind the foundation. It's not really necessary here. This is all masonry and foundation, like walls, so that's not really a big deal to get here. So we'll continue the drip cap across, all the way across and around, all the way around the house, because you don't want any water getting in back behind there. Bad idea. And then the drip cap will even run around the porch. And then I think I did this in a previous video, but on the front porch, we ran a Bitethane self-adhered waterproofing membrane up against the sheathing before we poured this concrete, so that if any water gets in behind here, it'll run out and it won't get into the wood. So the wood is isolated from the rest. So we'll go all the way around here. And then similar to the garage doors, we had a pretty big gap here between the rough opening and the sheathing. So I actually ran the zip tape out to here, and then when we put our trim, the trim will run up right just to the edge of the zip tape, and we'll caulk it, and you'll never know this was here. So that gives you an air seal, and it gives you a weather seal, although this is under a porch and you'll really never see any water except for if the porch gets pressure washed. But we'll run our drip cap all the way around here. We'll go all the way around. It ties into the brick all the way across. And the brick will run up to this chalk line right there. So drip cap will run around, and then this wall will be bricked. Everything will be bricked. So that is paying attention to waterproofing details. Waterproofing details matter. You don't want water and wood and no ventilation don't mix. Not a good idea. So hope that helps. Thanks, guys. Greetings. So, probably wondering what these are. You may or may not know. So these are Infiltrator caps for the septic system. So we've got a big giant mess here in the front yard. They're putting in our septic system, and I've been working on that since they came out here yesterday. Got out here yesterday morning, but unfortunately they couldn't finish it yesterday because the tank took forever to get here. So they dug out like one set of field lines yesterday, and then they had to leave for the day. But they're putting the infiltrators in. They're almost done. So those basically allow the water to flow through and disperse into the soil and spread out. Our tank is right over there. And then it comes out of the house here. There's a clean out, and then the tank is right over there. So that way we can run our sidewalk between the house and the tank. It won't be in the way. So yeah, it's kind of cool to see that going in. There's a big giant mess in the front yard, but they'll start, as soon as they're done, this gets inspected, they'll start backfilling this, and you'll barely ever know they were here. So kind of neat. But yeah, those Infiltrator basically are like little dome lids, and all the water kind of flows through these Infiltrators. And there's these little like vents on top of it that let it breathe. Lets like oxygen into it. So it's kind of neat. But there's no like pipes and gravel like old systems. So kind of cool.